It's the end of the day with Ray. Hello, my friends. Well, earlier this week, we heard the news. British private equity firm CVC wants Toshiba, wants to buy the conglomerate Toshiba. Boy, this is big news, folks. This is really big news. I mean, you could Google the article. They're all over the place. I found one here in the Wall Street Journal. But ladies and gentlemen, I want you all to think about this. If a Japanese conglomerate sells their business to a British private equity group, doesn't that, put an end to all the nonsense about how a Japanese company would never sell to a foreign company? Remember all the people that would tell me, oh, Ray, there's no way a Japanese copier company is going to sell to a Xerox, an American company. It'll never happen. It's impossible, blah, blah, blah. Well, a global pandemic, having trouble with your finances, makes for strange bedfellows. And ladies and gentlemen, the past has nothing to do with the future. And over the next few years, our industry, the document imaging channel, is going to witness things they never even thought in a million years could ever happen. Well, maybe except for me, because I like to explore what could be based on what should be, and I beg you to do the same. But ladies and gentlemen, Toshiba is a big conglomerate. It's not just a little printer company. I'm sure we're going to see some article written in one of the magazines of the document imaging channel that says Toshiba gives $20 billion offer, leading the reader to believe that for some reason somebody wants to buy a print business for $20 billion. They won't dissect out the print part. They'll talk about this like it's some big home run. But ladies and gentlemen, I got to be honest with you. It's not going to be a big home run for a lot of our friends in the document imaging channel, unless some serious changes are made. I mean, we can't get up there and hit any more home runs unless we get better batters, unless we practice a little bit harder. You see where this is going? We got to make some serious changes. But I want to talk to you about, Toshiba in general. Toshiba is a $30 billion business. They had a 9.55% decline year over year, ending December of 2020. Toshiba's annual revenue for 2019 was about $34 billion, but it was a 13.3% decline from 2018. And the 2018 number was a 11.57% decline from 2017. Toshiba, the conglomerates, had some issues. They've been struggling a little bit. We've all heard, the Westinghouse fiasco, the nuclear power plants, all that kind of stuff didn't help. Some accounting problems they had. But let's talk about the print business, because that's all we care about, folks. We're not going to sell nuclear power plants in the document imaging channel, are we? Never going to happen. So let's talk about Toshiba Tech. That's the part that's near and dear to all of our hearts, right? Toshiba Tech in 2017 had annual revenues of $4.5 billion. Okay? In 2020, it was $4.374 billion. We don't know where they're at in 2021, but it's going to be around that $4 billion number, right? It's a $4 billion business. Okay? It's a $4 billion business, and it represents what? About 13% of the Toshiba conglomerate. It's about 12% of the total business at Toshiba. It would be kind of a good investment to pull that out of there, right? When the CVC company buys them, that private equity group. Because they're not going to keep all this together. I mean, come on, folks. You think a British private equity group's going to be better than a Japanese conglomerate running all these different divisions? Probably not. They're going to look where they can get some synergies, reduce some costs, merge with some possibilities, sell it off, make some money. That's what they do. They want a 20% return, by the way. Our whole industry has to be getting tired of these 5 and 6% EBITDAs, right? We need to be more like private equity. We want a 20% return, 25% return. By God, we're going to do whatever it takes to get there. Maybe if we had those kind of attitudes, we wouldn't have some disasters like we see with our friends at Konica is a great example. People can define disaster any way they want. But when you spend 10 years building up direct operations and then you're selling them off, and when you spend 10 years with an IT services company, but you're still showing negative profits, I define that as a disaster. Just my opinion. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, obviously there has to be some changes inside the document imaging channel. There has to be some changes with the Japanese conglomerates. But I was watching Squawk Box, and I don't know if you ever watched Squawk Box, CNBC, but Stephen Gibbons, a professor at Kino Law School, was on there, and he was talking about the Japanese businesses, Japanese industrial businesses. And I agree wholeheartedly with what he said, so I'm just going to read the quote. The stark reality for Toshiba and other sprawling Japanese firms struggling to reinvent themselves is they don't have much of a future, warns Stephen Givens of Kino Law School. He says some old economy firms in Japan will face difficulty transforming their outdated business models, and suggests the answers for Toshiba and others is to sell the business in whole or in pieces. To sell the business in whole or in pieces, but make a change. He talks about business processes. One of the things I've been beating on the Document Imaging channel for a long time, you're never going to sell IT services as an example when you're using the business processes that were built to sell print equipment. But yet we still believe we can sell IT based on what we do in print. It's insanity. Ladies and gentlemen, here's what I think. A while back, I think it was as early as a year ago, August 9th, 2020 is when this article was written. What did Sharp do? What did Sharp do? They finished the deal and bought all the Toshiba business, all the PC business from Toshiba. Sharp, Toshiba, they already did a deal, the PC business. Why don't we just say come together, Sharp and Toshiba? Seriously, these two should come together. Think about this. Who makes Toshiba's A4 equipment? Oh, my good friends over at Lexmark. Who just did a deal with Lexmark for A4 equipment? Well, my good friends over at Sharp. They already got that part figured out, right? What if they came together? Seriously, folks. Is it about time they just do it? We got to have consolidation. These two are kind of, they almost fit together like a glove in hand. I mean, let's look at Foxconn. This huge industrial conglomerate based in Taiwan. What is the Sharp print business revenue? What is that in proportion to the whole entire Foxconn organization? Ladies and gentlemen, it's like 1 or 2% at the most. It's a small piece. You know, a global pandemic, a printing industry in rapid decline, needing massive consolidation. Do we really believe that Foxconn wants to manage 1 or 2% of their business through what's the biggest disruption of that industry's history? Or do they just want to sell it off? I mean, when they bought Sharp, they didn't just get the printer business. They got some technologies that they use with their core business. And there's some synergies they got that they use with their core business. But let's be honest, the printer business, the MFP business, they could easily just spin that off. Maybe CVC should get together with both Sharp and Toshiba Tech, the leaders of Toshiba Tech, the leaders of Sharp Print, and say, look, once we buy Toshiba conglomerate, we want to put you two together somehow. How does that look? Folks, things are going to change, and there's going to be buyers coming to the table that no one could have ever imagined just a few short years ago. But things are definitely going to change. And when I talk about Toshiba and Sharp coming together, that's a probability. And probabilities become reality quicker than ever. We know we have to have some consolidation. I just think it's about time these two just did it. We got to start moving forward. We got these OEMs sitting out there in la-la land, it seems. We need to have some action, some bold steps, some decisive moves. How are we going to change the game if we continue just to kind of hang around waiting for something to happen? We're not going back to a new normal. I said it a long time ago, we got to create that new normal, and it'll be bold leadership that creates the new normal. And it'll be the rest of the people that follow whatever those bold leaders create. Who wants to be a follower? Huh. Toshiba, Sharp, make the phone call. Ladies and gentlemen, it's just something to think about because we all know this. Status quo is the killer of all that'll be invented. Don't get stuck in status quo, and I'll see y'all on Monday.